going back to the riots that we just experienced, not just in London but throughout the rest of the UK, what, if anything, do you think the riots have achieved or taught us about the way that society is currently set up and the way that young people are currently being managed and dealt with?
I think there's been a celebration of social decadence that goes back generations. I can even remember when I was a young person growing up watching films that glorified gangsters like Bugsy Siegel, Al Capone, Pretty Boy Floyd, and, you know, even the whole Scarface phenomenon of the movie Scarface. You know, these things have helped to feed the ideas and the mindset of many young people. The lack of education that is practical and reflective of the processes of achieving success in terms of the music industry, in terms of sports, those kind of things are not publicized. You know, so when young people see someone come into football or come into the music industry, it looks as if it all happened just overnight. They went from being a nobody to being everything and having all of this money. And so, you know, there's been numerous pundits to go into the schools across the UK over the last few years and ask young people who do they want to be or what do they want to be. And, you know, you have young people saying they want to be a wag. You have young people saying they want to be a football player and they want to be an entertainer. And, you know, and these are unrealistic. And those ideas and that thought process is something that's been fed to them through the media. And the media has been allowed to communicate that kind of information based on public policy. And, you know, when you look at it from that point of view, even now, you know, more and more advertisement is now being placed on television to the point to where the BBC, when they now have shows that have product placement in those shows, they have a little monogram that comes up on the screen to indicate that there's product placement in the program you're about to watch. And everyone knows that if you watch the World Cup and companies that want to be able to advertise a product for 30 seconds pay millions for that opportunity. So it's definitely something that we have to look at, is that the excessive self-indulgence, you know, of excess, you know, the amount of homes that some people may own, the amount of cars that some people may own, and with less and less reliance and understanding about how those processes work, young people will be misled and misguided and have misconceptions about how to achieve things in life. And for those who are the poor and unfortunate in our community, it's even a worse situation for them, because oftentimes education has not been the liberator from the poor and the unfortunate, because of how many of them have been poor and in the condition of destitute for so long. They don't see how education is going to free them. And then when you have a situation where young people can spend 14,500 hours going through formal education and then cannot pass the GCSE, that says something about the way our education system works, you know. And a lot of these things are influenced by government policy, social policy, and we have to look at it from that point of view. We've celebrated lack of intelligence. We've celebrated we've celebrated lack of intelligence. We've celebrated lack of care for others in the community through some of the films and movies and television programs that we produce. I mean, I can remember where, you know, the gang situation in London, that's what's often referred to as a gang situation in London, being somewhat minuscule and the numbers being quite small. But the way in which young people are portrayed in the media and the fear that's generated people become frightened. And when you become frightened, you team up with other individuals who share the same concern, and you all work together to support one another against the fear of possibly being a victim. And there's so many young people who are out there who are victim perpetrators, haven't been exposed to bullying and things like that, to only become a bully themselves. That I think, some of the kind of policies that we're hearing in the government and some of the things people are being asked to consider endorsing, it's like bringing a sledgehammer to crack a walnut without, taking a deeper look at what the issues are.
Okay, how do you feel that relates to the riots that we just experienced?
Well, if you live in an environment where, the latest clothes, the latest technology, and the latest style is something that says who you are and it speaks to your status within society. A lot of these young people who don't have the means to access these things, when seeing police officers arrive on a scene and just stand there and not do anything while people are breaking into the shops or breaking into the stores, where a lot of these things that, have social status are sold in terms of clothing, in terms of electrical goods. People see the police just standing there and not doing anything. What do you think they might do? What message are you sending to them in that context? So young people will take the opportunity to get access to things that they may not have had before. And not only young people, a lot of adults did this stuff as well. You have people who engaged in the process and did not even understand why they did it. They don't know why they did it, but psychologists up and down this country can tell you that if you have a crowd of people and one of the individuals in that crowd starts to run, that everyone else will start to run too, and don't know why they're running, but they're running. And if someone is trampled in the process and knocked to their feet and unfortunately killed during that stampede, once you went and arrested everyone and asked them why they were running, they would say, "I don't know. I don't know why I did it," and it would be an honest answer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those kind of things are being missed.
Okay, what message would you want to send to the youth in London right now, who may, even if they haven't been a part of the riots, what message would you send out to them?
The message that I would send out to the youth of London right now is that they need to find a local project where they have people who they trust, people who are willing to listen to them and show them how to achieve the things that they want to achieve, even if it's sending a message to the government about what policies are good and bad for their lives. They need to seek out projects that will help them learn the skills that they need to be able to learn in order to make their lives what they want them to be. And also recognize that, with a lot of the rivalries and beefs that were taking place prior to, and still some who are continuing to exist even after the event, that those beefs really, when you look at the grander scheme of things, they're not that important. There's more to life. There's more to achieve. So looking, for instance, like a project like Pathways to Progress, which I manage, which is sponsored by a housing trust, and the charity is Catalyst Gateway. This particular project provides young people with the opportunity to learn and understand the society that they live in, so that they actually can develop a roadmap for how they're going to navigate the pitfalls of this environment and avoid getting stuck in traps. Pathways to Progress also helps young people by being able to place them in paid work placements. We know how hard and how difficult it is out there, not only for the young people, but even people in the community, even adults, to achieve what they want in life. And here you got many young people who are young carers. You have many young people who are caring for themselves, An opportunity to learn work ethics is a grand one, but when they have primary needs that need to be met, food, shelter, clothing, things like that, being able to have a paid work placement says to the young person that we value you as a human being and we recognize you as a peer. Because at the end of the day, I believe that the concept of a teenager is misleading, and it gives the wrong impression that there's this massive gap between childhood and adulthood, when in reality you go from childhood to adulthood. And if young people were more engaged in that way, where they're seen as young adults and young adults needing training for adulthood, then that, to me, helps them to achieve more out of life. I got to say to the young people that, a lot of what's taking place, they're being blamed for, and being blamed for without hesitation. And then what they have to recognize is that everyone is going to be watching, everyone is going to be standing and saying things that are untrue about many of them. And if they don't find a place, an organization, a project where their voice can be heard, where they can get their views and their feelings across, that some of them will wake up and find themselves in prison, find themselves subject to a gang injunction, even though they are not a gang member, and things of that nature, that will make their lives a whole lot harder to manage. So for me, there's opportunity to communicate, and to all the young people, you've been doing that. You've been talking to each other. Talk to your friends who have actually achieved some things and made their lives what they are, and they kind of progressing and moving forward. If you're worried about not being able to go to college, or not even a person who's of academic proud, have a whole academic capability about you, there are mentoring programs and various services that are available to assist. Go and use those services. As you say, rinse them. Get everything you can get out of them. And when you feel that things are not quite fair and things are not quite going well, ask for assistance. Ask for people to assist you. And if you feel that the projects that you're talking to are not meeting your needs, not answering your questions, not giving you what you need to know, then what I would strongly suggest that you do is contact Pathways to Progress. You can contact us via Facebook. You can contact us via BB. And when you contact us, if we can't find a project in your area that can support you and give you that kind of support, we will do what we can to assist. Now, P2P is based in West London, so we've had young people come to us all the way from Hackney and Battersea to come and engage with the project. And, our primary area of focus is West London, but we will not turn down or turn away a young person in need.
What message would you want to send out to the police and the authorities, almost on behalf of the young people?
On behalf of the young people, I would say that it's time to listen, and listen genuinely to the concerns. Come and understand the pain and the shame that many of us feel, and in some cases the fear that we feel when police officers mistreat and abuse us. And come and understand and communicate with us about how that creates the anger in us, and take time to understand the impact that and the pain that is being created in some of the decisions that you're making. Because the reality is, we are the future. And with us becoming the future and being treated this way, what are you teaching us about how we should be treating people as adults? What are you teaching us about how we as a society look after our poor and unfortunate and marginalized?